Are you closing the club face enough in your release? If you're suffering with shots for a right-handed golfer that are leaking out to the right of the target, whether that's a push, whether it's a push slice, something going right at target, destructive shot, losing a lot of distance as well, I have for you the cure and a simple exercise to really get you out of it. Hit in this bag. So today we're really going to be focusing on club face. Club face is king. About 80% of where the ball goes, where it starts, is down to the club face position at impact. So squaring this face by the time we hit the ball, vital. Obviously the strike is important as well. I'm not suggesting the path isn't, but club face is king and has the main influence over the start line of the golf ball. So the majority of slices I meet are actually starting the ball to the right for a right-handed golfer and then going further that way, so they've just got the club face open. Occasionally they'll compensate and hit the odd one to the left, but that just is because they've seen the ball go right, 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 and then, you know, hey presto, they make some kind of alteration in there to try and do the opposite, and they tend to hit more of a pull to the left. So we've got to try and close that club face. What is the right amount of club face closure? Well, the drill I just did, actually hitting it just to this position here is great, because what I got to was a release position where the club shaft is about parallel to the ground, and at that stage I would like the toe of the golf club to be straight up, the leading edge of the golf club to be vertical. I don't want to see it pointing, the loft pointing down towards the ground at that stage, and I don't really want to see the club face pointing up. Now where you are there would be influenced by your club face position in the downswing. Let's say we had a pretty neutral club face before we hit the golf ball, which is the leading edge matching our back angle, our spine angle. I would like to see that toe of the golf club vertical on the way through. The leading edge is right angles effectively to the ground. So we're rotating our body to that position. You can see to get there, my body has rotated. I'm not suggesting there isn't hands and arms in the golf swing. They absolutely are rotating, but my driving force is what my body's doing. So let's just chip one away again, focusing on that release. Again, holding that finished position there. The toe of the golf club is straight up the air. The club shaft is about parallel to my toe line, but I'd actually like it a little bit more inside than that. So if it's actually moved maybe more parallel towards the middle of my foot, or even my heels, so there's a bit more rotation inward to the left. I don't want the club to be swinging down the target line. So working on that release is very, very vital. Golfers who are starting the ball to the right, they have got the club face open and they need to close it more. And that exercise I just did with my impact bag, you could just use just a large kind of old cushion or something on those lines. I've got it set out near my lead foot, and I'm just trying to get the feeling that I'm actually getting the toe of the golf club into the bag first, not the heel, okay? So can I, from a small move, get the toe of the golf club into the bag early? And yes, I could do it purely with hands. Try and feel like there is some body involvement here to try and get that toe of the golf club catching up with the heel, striking into the bag. So generally the bag a little bit ahead of your left foot, and try and get the toe of the golf club working into it. Let me just put that into like a half golf swing. And the further I go on the way through, the more the club face is going to start to point down. So if I got it straight up when it is parallel to the ground, the longer the follow through, the more the club face is going to start to point down towards the ground. But again, we can just try and have that sawn off finish position just to check where the club is just post impact. Let's go 3/4 backswing. Swing. Really working on that rotation. And you can see none of these out to the right of the target. I pulled it a little bit, but if you're struggling with the club face control, Start with small movements and build it up. So go from quarter to half to 3/4 to full. Now, I don't want to get too technical in this video, and I have done plenty of videos talking about wrist angles in the downswing. So I'll put some links here that I think are well worth checking out if this is something you struggle with. But I can't do this video without talking about the club face on the downswing. So if you have that club face excessively open before you hit the golf ball, which would be the toe straight up or the club face starting to point up, the wrist will be a lot in extension. Now I'm going to need more closure. So initially I'm going to need more closure rate. So I'm going to have to rotate my body and use a little bit more of my forearms to try and get the toe of the golf club into the bag. I would start there, okay? I would start there on the course, but ultimately I would work on where the club face is on the downswing to have a better or more consistent impact position. We can't rely on a lot of rotation. So I'd work on where the wrist angles are and where the club face is on the downswing. We want to stop into that position and ideally get the leading edge of the golf club more matching my back angle. So for me, the sensation in the downswing, if this is something you struggle with, something I give players to focus on is the feeling that they keep their knuckles behind their wrist. That sensation there, my knuckles are behind the wrist, not my knuckles working forwards, because when they work forwards, you can see the club face is wide open. When my knuckles stay behind the wrist, hey presto, we've got that club face a little bit more turned down. So I'd maybe just do some small swings coming down to pre-impact, getting that club face matching my back angle and rotate through. So again, we're learning to control the club through impact from a good club face. If I've got it wide open here, we're going to have to work a lot harder through impact to try and close that club face. So our closure rate is going to be higher. The toe of the golf club is always passing the heel on the downswing. It's always catching up to the heel and passing it on the way through. But it's the rate at which we have to do that that's really going to add to how consistent a player you are. You could imagine if you've got a very high closure rate, it's going to be hard to be consistent. So let's try and put that into a full motion. Just working on that feeling of where I get to post-impact. So my sensation is here. Well, that was a lovely straight shot, straight down my target line. And my focus point was really about the rotation on the way through to help square the club face position. As I said, big influence of where the club is before I hit the golf ball for sure. But it's going to help us if we get to this release position where we've turned our body and in sync used our arms. So my hands and arms are working with my body, not against my body in that release position. So as I said, if you're struggling with a shot that's starting right to target, whether it's staying there or moving further right to target, we know the club face is open to the target line by the time you hit the golf ball. So working on closing that club face with this release position is really going to help. Start with those little quarter swings, hold that post-impact position, and maybe do some with the impact bag, trying to get the toe of the golf club catching up a little bit sooner, especially if you're someone who's a bit more extreme. If you've got that club face wide open, then you're going to have to go back to looking at the wrist angles in the downswing and improve where you are before you hit the golf ball. But let's start with improving the release position, the impact position through the golf ball. If that video has helped, make sure you hit the thumbs up, share it with as many golfers as you can, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content just like this. Right now, YouTube is suggesting the next video of mine that's relevant for you is just here. Click on it and check it out.